Good evening. I'm Evelyn Bell and I'm here to demonstrate how to make wonderful Hanukkah menorah. And as you can see, we will show you the steps to make 2 of them and then give you a whole bunch of ideas on how to make more. So let us begin. Okay, the first thing I want to let you know, you should have already gotten this piece of paper or when you registered on the list of materials that you'll need to make 2 of the menorah that I'm going to demonstrate how to make. And then also on this piece of paper, there will be some of the prayers that you can cut out to make sure they fit within the portable menorah. So we're going to start with the portable menorah. And if you look at it, this is made with polymer clay and hex nuts. And inside, I'm going to take these candles out. I'm going to open it up and there you go. There are 44 candles in there. And then you cut out a prayer. This is the blessing. It's just the first blessing. If you want to get creative, you can find all the 3 blessings online and print them out if you want and stick them in there, because it's really nice to have the whole thing when you're doing a portable travel menorah wherever you may be. So that's what we're going to make first. The tools you're going to need for this project is an Altoid box. Make sure you eat all your Altoids first. Clean out the box and so it's nice and clean and not dusty. And then you're going to have that. You're going to have 10 hex nuts, and the size of the hex nuts are 10, 1/4, 20. They come in a box like this. You get them at a hardware store. You can find one that would fit the candles. But that's what I went to Home Depot to find these, or another hardware store. So you're going to need that. You're going to also need your polymer clay. There are all kinds of polymer clay. This one is very inexpensive. It's called Craft Smart. Find it at Michael's. You use your 40% coupon. You can get a pretty good deal on it. It's probably about a couple bucks for a square. I usually get blue and yellow because those are the colors we use for Hanukkah. And there's different colors of blue. This is Sculpey. I got it on clearance, but you can find it, and it's very good too. You're going to bake this at 275 degrees for 15 minutes. So you can also look on the package that does tell you what they recommend and how to bake it on the instructions. The other things you're going to need are a ruler, a piece of pipe or a PVC pipe, or some kind of roller device. This is just a cheap piece of plastic pipe. It comes in a kit for $1 for polymer clay, so you can get that. A butter knife or a clay knife, and of course your candles. The candles you can buy at the dollar store. They come in a package like this for $1, and there's 60 of them, so you're going to have quite a few extra because you only need 44. So let's talk about how we're going to do this. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to get the blue clay onto the Altoid box. So I'm going to choose this clay. And sometimes your clay is going to be kind of hard to work with. You want to roll it around a little bit to get it softer. There are things you can buy to soften up clay that's been around for a long time. It gets hard. Like this one's not that hard, but I have clay that is pretty hard, and there's an emollient you can buy. It's made by Sculpey, and it will soften the clay up. This is a pretty nice blue. Okay, get that out of the way. I'm going to cut this in half, or you don't need that much. And I'm going to roll it in my hands and warm it up. Okay, now if you don't want to get your hands full of blue or whatever, you can wear gloves. I like to use my hands. I like to feel it in my hands. It comes off. It's easy to wash. So I'm making and I'm warming it up. Okay, so there it is. It's warmed up. I'm going to smash it down, and I'm going to make a sort of a rolled out rectangle, but I want to make it about an 1/8 inch thick. So just pretend you're rolling out cookie dough. It's basically what this, but it's a little bit more firmer than that. And peel it off. Okay. So I'm just doing that. Now you're going to lay it on top of your tin, and you're going to fold it over, smooth it out like so. And you have to make sure that it covers, you know, the tin thing, the tin cover. Now make sure that when you open it up, you're going to know when to trim it. So here's a piece. So don't worry, you peel it off a little bit, and you can stick it back on. It's very malleable. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our knife and trim some pieces, and put some back where it needs it. Meanwhile, before you even get doing, I forgot to tell you to put your oven, preheat your oven to 275 degrees, because you're going to put this, when it's done, on a cookie sheet and bake it. They recommend 15 minutes. You can turn off the oven and just let it sit there in the oven for 15 minutes and it should harden. So now that's the first part. Then you're going to take your ruler and you're going to put it rest it right there, and you're going to take your hex screws. Don't press them in yet. You're going to have to see how they look. You want to make sure they're a straight line, so I use a ruler from corner to corner. We measured it to make sure that it would all fit with this Altoid tin. And let's look at it. That looks good. Now you're going to press it so it's firmly in there. Okay. And that's all you do with those. So I'm going to take this toothpick. This is a little pick thing, but you can use a toothpick. And you're going to just take the clay out from, you know, just sort of move it around in there. When you bake it, it will come out even better, but you can pre-take it out. But you can do that. I'm going to just leave it in there because I think either way it will work. But you just want to make sure there's enough of a deep hole to make sure the candle's in there. And sometimes what you do is when you bake it, you can lift these out and then clean them out and put them back in and glue them. That's why I asked you to have some glue to glue them after it's baked. So that's that part. And this is where you get more creative. When you're done with your clay, you should put it in a plastic baggie. Keep it sealed in a plastic baggie, not in the same wrapper because it's not going to hold that way. So I'm going to now get the yellow clay. You always go dark. Make sure it's a clean surface still, because as soon as you work with a lighter color, it's going to blend in. So you want to make sure you don't mix the yellow unnecessarily. So now with this one, I didn't really measure the letters, so it kind of looked like a dolly. You know how the H kind of goes down this way. But you can be more precise with your lettering. You can measure a little bit and make this look a little bit better than that. If your children are playing with it, they don't have to make Happy Hanukkah. They can do all kinds of stuff, make, you know, flowers or whatever. You can use different colored clay too. To be creative. I've made boxes just for fun, little treasure boxes without the menorah aspect of it, and it was great. You can put little gifts inside. This was an idea that I found from the City of Fullerton Art at Home program they have, and they provide people who want to do art projects. You pick up a kit, and this was one of them, and it was fabulous. So again, we're going to take a little bit of clay. Make sure you get the blue off of the knife. Okay. And this is a little harder than the other one. I'm going to cut this in half. And what you're going to do is you're going to, again, make a little ball, warm it up, and you're going to make snakes. And the thickness or the diameter of this snake would be about maybe 1/8 of an inch. So I'm just going to make a snake. Okay. And you can stretch it a little bit too. So here we go. And there's the yellow snake. And I'd make it a good length. So you're going to cut it in different letters. So you want it to be sort of uniform. And it's, so this is a getting there. Okay. So now I'm going to take my knife and I'm going to think about where I want to put Hanukkah. And I'm going to make it smaller than that. So I'm going to have, don't press it down yet until you see where it is going to go. And let's see, this is an A. So I'll make a little circle. So I just get the basic letters. I don't put the little line on them yet. I just want to make sure. And this is an N. Make sure you spell it right. There's so many ways, different ways of spelling Hanukkah. I had to look it up several times. This is the official way, evidently. Although it's a CH, it could be 2 N's, it could be 2 K's, 1 K. You know, it's alliteration. So it's how they interpret it. Come on. Okay, so we'll go like this. Here's the N. A U. It's kind of whimsical. A K. Gonna make 2 K's. Make them the same length as the H. So I'm still making the basic letters. I want to see, now we have a problem with the H. Okay, you know what? Just gonna make the H. It's gonna be a dolly. You know, a Salvador Dali, H. Stick it down there. And it's gonna curve down like that. There you go. So there's the H. Okay. Now you're gonna use your stick to make the letters a little better. Now we have a little, you know, thing on the A's. And then we have an H. Oops. And there you go. There's Hanukkah and happy. I think we can do a dolly hat H up here, going down like that. I mean, you can be more creative than this. You can have more fun. You don't have to say Happy Hanukkah. This is your project. You make it what you want. All right, so there's the Happy Hanukkah. You know, if I would have made it smaller and measured using, you know, being more precise. I know people in my family that use calipers for everything. Yeah, I could do this. I don't even know if I need to put a star here. This one I did a little bit better. But you can do a star. And the way I would do a star is I would, again, make my snake very narrow, right? And you're going to make a triangle. So let's see how narrow this snake is. And just sort of, okay, this is going to be 1 point. We're going to do that. And put him. You can use your toothpick or poker or whatever you want to call this thing that I have. It's actually I use this to measure how deep the clay is on my potter's wheel when I'm throwing a pot, or at least trying to throw a pot. I haven't learned how to do that very well lately, but getting there. Okay, there's the first triangle, and you know that it's a 6-pointed star, and they're really fun to make because you just do 2 triangles. If you teach geometry, it's a lot of fun to show that art is a bunch of geometric shapes. Anything you do in art is all geometry. Make my other triangle right there, going like down and up. Now I'm going to use my stick and fix the points. I'm not going to press down on it until I'm satisfied. And there's your little star. Okay. So now the oven has been preheated. You stick this on a cookie sheet in the middle of the oven. You can turn off the heat and time it for 15 minutes. When it comes out, it's very hard. Before you put it in the oven, make sure that there's no fingernail, you know, impressions, no cat fur, because that happens here. Anything that you don't want, you know, just make sure it's all smooth and it's even around. You can even try to open it and see if it opens okay. That's a good thing to do too. If there's clay that's on this part, take it off, because it will bake on. You don't want that. All right, so when you bake it, after it comes out of the oven, let it cool, and then you're going to take your toothpick and get rid of all the excess glue. I mean, not glue, clay. It's all baked. It's a lot easier to do that. Sometimes you can even take these off and clean it up and put them back on. And that's what I did here. And then you're going to take some glue. Now I use this glue, and it is, make sure it says clear, transparent. This also is a good glue, but it takes a little longer for it to set. This is a jewelry glue, and it glues glass and metal. It does have an odor. When you're using any kind of glue, this is another type. It is flammable, so you gotta be very careful. But once it cures, you can put candles on it. You're not gonna set fire to your house. But it does have an odor, so you want to keep your room ventilated when you're using something like this. So you can do that. And what you do is when you glue these back, you glue them on this. Just put a little glue on the top, and then you stick it where they're going to go. And then when you make the shamus, which is the tallest candle holder, it has the height. You can either put it on the end or in the middle. I like putting it in the middle, because there's no, I think there was something about the left or the right, or I don't remember, you know, whether it's officially this way or this way. And so to avoid being confused, put it in the middle, and you don't have to worry about it, okay? Unless you ask my husband, he knows it. So I just put a little bit of glue and I put it on top, and it should be like that. Let it dry. It takes about 24 hours for it to really set. And then once you're done with that, count out your 44 candles, keep the remaining for birthdays, and or another one you can buy extra, and put them in there, okay? And then put your prayer in there. Remember, there's 3 of these. I only printed the first one. And that's how you make your Happy Hanukkah portable menorah. So this is the next project. I made this. It's already glued. This is made with 1-inch Mosaic tiles. You can find a bunch of these in craft stores, Michael's. You can find them at Hobby Lobby. You can find them all different places, okay? You can even order them online. They come in different colors, and they look like this. And they have a backing like this, but that is because it keeps the color pure. If it had the backing off of it, you'd see right through it, and that's not what you want when you're doing a mosaic. So I used this material to make this menorah, and I glued these on. I first made it where I see if I had the appropriate amount of tiles, the same length, you know, to make this cover this whole block of wood, which I found at the dollar store. And there are different sizes. So I would take a ruler with me, and I'd make sure that if you're going to use this one, make sure it's about little less than 12 inches. Okay, so that's what this particular block of wood is, and it's just a 1 inch by about 2 inches, and it makes a wonderful menorah that a child can make, or you can make. So I would like to demonstrate this. This is using hex screws that are larger. These may be a little difficult to find at Home Depot or Lowe's. They come in small packages. I went to another hardware store that carries them in boxes. It was cheaper to buy 100 of them because who knows, you know, you can use them for a whole bunch of stuff. Okay, so and they fit a Hanukkah candle. This is the general diameter of a Hanukkah candle. I like the tall ones, but this is the ones I'm going to use to demonstrate. So these are called 7, 16, 14, and they're hex finished nuts. These are zinc plated. So are these. These you can easily find at Home Depot. These you may be able to find them. Take a candle with you when you go to the hardware store to make sure it's the right diameter inside. And that's what I used to make this. So now I ran out of my tiles. I have to get make sure I have about 15 or 20 on each side, and then you're gonna just 1, 2, 3, 4, 15 times 4. That's a good mathematical question. And plus 2 on the side. So you're gonna get a couple, about 4 packages of these when you go to Michael's. And they run about, depending upon if they have a sale or not, anywhere from $2.99 to about $7.99, depending upon the quality of the color. These were a little bit more expensive because they have a little bit of glitter on them and the whole bit. Okay, so but I found that I didn't have that, and Michael's didn't carry it. So they had other things that you can do this with. So I'm going to show you how to do this one. These are really cool mosaic tiles. They're 2 inches by 1 inch, and they're about 1/4 of an inch in the dimensions of these. They come in different colors, and yes, you can see through them, but that's okay because when you put them down, you can't see through them. So I'm going to show you, there's a block of wood. Now this is a little smaller, so how to make it work when you measure these things. So then you think about, okay, what do I want to do? Sometimes the wood is a little ragged. You might want to use some sandpaper to sand them down. But I'm going to cover it up, so I'm not going to worry too much about it right now. So I'm going to come up with a design. So I'm going to put them like this. Now notice, when you put them down, look at both sides of the glass, because there's a flatter side, and you want the flatter side. So feel it. I like this side because it's flatter, because you're going to have to put something on top of them. So, and look at the difference between this one and this one. You can tell that it's a little bit less finished on that side. So whenever you're working with glass products, make sure you look at them carefully so you're not disappointed when you glue them down and oh, I didn't like that side, you know. You want to be careful. So that's the top, okay? And you can look at it. That looks good. I think I'm satisfied with that. So then what you're going to do is you're going to get your Wellbond. This is the best glue I can find for mosaics. It is expensive. You can get them in smaller bottles. Michael's carries it, and so does Hobby Lobby, but you can also order it online. Probably save yourself a lot. I do mosaics, and I use this glue a lot. It is sturdy. It glues all different types of things: wood, tile, glass, foam, and the best part about it, it dries clear, and it's not. It takes very little time for it to set. So you want to get a really good glue. So then what I do is I put these down where I want, you know, I put back like that. I'm very satisfied with this. Move all the ones you're not using out of the way. And I just kind of squirt the glue down. Okay. Now, what you can do is you can take your butter knife and you can spread it evenly across the top of the board. You don't want a lot of glue, but if you have a lot of glue, you've gone crazy on it, and you can just pour it on the edge because you're going to use it anyhow, so don't worry about it. Okay. Then I'm going to make sure that I have the right side that I want, and you put them close together. We're not grouting this as a typical mosaic artist would do in some cases because it doesn't need it. These are manufactured. They're not. I use a lot of different types of glass that is not manufactured. Oh, I did it again. So I can cut it, and you know, it's not preformed. This is in a mold. They make these in a mold. They pour the glass in a steel mold, and then they put it in the kiln, and it hardens, and then they pop it out. That's how they make these. It's kind of cool. Okay, so there's that. I'm gonna let it set for a bit, and then you're gonna think about, while it's setting, how you want to do the edges. There's 2 dark pieces on the edge, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to put that there and there. And then I have another variety. I have more of these, and I don't have a lot of those, right? See, I have only 3 of these and the rest of these, so I got to come up with a pattern that will work. So I think I can do this. Some of these have a really interesting shine to them, so I want to see if I can get more of that going. So now it's almost ready to, it's almost set. And make sure it's straight. So I'm going to glue this side now. I've got a little bit of glue, so I can glue these where I want them. You can do this with a butter knife. Make sure you wipe off excess so you're not gluing to your table. Okay, and that's going to let it sit, and then we're going to move this around to the other side and do the same on the other side. Once you're done with the gluing part of, let it dry so it's completely set and ready to lift off and move and everything like that. So this is completely dry. Then what you're going to do, using this glue or similar glue, you're going to use it on the hex nuts, and this is where you have to figure out what's the best placement of them. Okay. See. And you can also make sure that they're in the right, like the sides are like this, uniform. Like that. And just move them around to make sure you've got what you want. Okay. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm going to see where I want them. The shumash is going to be in the middle. So that's basically where you want. And now some people take a Sharpie and they kind of put like a mark, a little mark that you can wipe off with alcohol swab, because Sharpie is not permanent, even though they say it's permanent. It may be permanent for a while, but if on glass, you can wipe it off with some alcohol. So I would put like a mark where you want it, so that when you lift it off, or you can just, when you lift it off, you can put it right where it needs to be. And what you do is you take your hex nut and you just coat this part of it. Just go squeeze a little bit around there, and then just gently place it on your mark where you want it. Hold it down, and it will stay. And it should stay like, let's see, pretty strong. And then once you get that, then you can put your, do the same thing with this last nut, the 10th nut, stick it on top of the glue. So it's like that. And you want to move it so it's together like that. And there you go. There is the menorah for this. Simple, very simple menorah. All right, there's a few other ideas for making menorahs when you go to the dollar store. When you go to the dollar store, you can buy a package of, I think it's 5 of these little glass bottles, and they have screw tops. And I can use these as a candle holder for Shabbos candles that look like this. They fit quite well inside of there. I can even, and I can make a big menorah using that. Or I can make just Shabbos candles with just 2 of those. Or I can use the bottles also for menorah. And at the dollar store you can find little wooden plaque-like things, and they look like that. And you can also find frames, and they're only $1. And can you imagine, you can do a really cool menorah with a picture of the family here celebrating Hanukkah. You can make, you can use the bottles, and you can make a design. Now, if it's not in a straight line, it's not really kosher, but I've seen menorahs all different shapes. And the concept is you just have to have candles. That's basically it. You know, you can do a lot of fun shapes. But you can do a menorah using a frame, put a picture here of your family, Happy Hanukkah. You can use clay, and you can actually heat the clay on wood, because it's not that hot. You're not going to burn the wood. It doesn't, a 275 degree oven doesn't burn wood. It won't set fire. So you can do something like that. But these are great ideas for using these types of materials. So I can even take these, and instead of using the hex, I can even put them on the top of the hex nuts of the menorah we just made. See, you can glue them on, and it makes an interesting look to it as well, kind of industrial. There's all kinds of menorah. I don't know if there's a plural to menorah, probably is, and I don't know how to pronounce it, but I'm just going to say menorahs, that use oil. And you can use these little bottles. They're pretty sturdy, and they're pretty thick, and it can hold an oil that you can make for the traditional menorah, where they did use oil and wicks. Or you can just do this. You can take the glass, and you can buy these washers. These come in boxes that look like this. And these are flat washers. They come in packages of 25. You can get these at Home Depot. There's the number that you would use, or this one, AKB. If you find AKB, you found the right washers. You can open them up and look at them. They look like this, okay? And they would hold a menorah candle. See, this one's a little wobbly, but that's okay. And what you do is you glue on top of each little bottle a washer. Make sure you look at the side of the washer, because you don't want a AKB on the top. You want it on the bottom. So it's sort of a matte look, which is fine. Okay, now I'm going to leave this one like this upside down, because that's going to be the shamish. So I would glue all these down. You can paint this, decorate this all you want, decoupage it. There's so many things you can do with wood. It's so much fun. But this is the concept of making the menorah. So I would be gluing those, and then the top bottle is up, this one's upside down. I'd glue this one to this one, and then I would put a washer on top of that. Now, how would you hold the candle in place if you have a different diameter that's not the same as the diameter of the candle? I would put sand or salt in this, and color it if you want to with blue or whatever color. And then you can, when you put the candle in it, it will set it in there very nicely. And it also will give it a little bit more raised look too. So you can do that. You can also do like colored sand, make these all very pretty with colored sand. You use a funnel to pour the sand in different, like if you want to, a little blue, and then you do a little pink or whatever other color, and you can make all kinds of designs with sand. That is a really neat technique, and it's fun. Kids love doing these things too. These projects that I'm showing you today, kids can do. I'm talking 5-year-olds and up. They're fun. My grandson is 5 years, I have a grandson that's 5 years old, and he loves doing things like this. I mean, anything that you can mold and press and paint, he'll do it, you know, and it gives them a sense of imagination. So there's this one. Hi. Okay, we're back to the last menorah I'm going to show you how to make. Again, I have extra materials. What do you do with extra materials? Well, you make something out of them. So I have a different color. So, of course, this was supposed to be out there, but this is supposed to finish the rest of that one. But we'll just look at these. Okay, we've got clear ones. I'm going to turn them this way because they are better like that. And then I'm going to go like this. and I'm going to go like that, and I'm going to make a bridge. So you have your platform, your bridge of these glass tiles. Now you have, again, your little hex nuts. You first glue these down using your E6000 or whatever glue. This would work too. It doesn't show through because it's gonna shine. It's gonna be clear. You won't see the glue like some glues. Make sure it's transparent, or you will see the glue. So you glue this down, and then you take your glue and you glue around the edges of this, and you plop it down. But before you do that, you're going to have to plan it a little bit because you want to make sure you've got what you need. So same concept as that one. You mark where you're going to put your little hex screws. Make sure you've got the right number. Okay, so kind of like that. Straighten it out a little bit. So it should be 3 on each of these, evenly spaced. Okay, and making sure that they have the spacing on all sides so they look even. Be happy with that. Then take it off, glue, place it where you want to. Make sure you can move it. You can still move it when it's wet. And then do the next one and the next one and the next one until you've got your row of hex nuts. And then at the end, when those are dry, you stick the one on top after you glue it. And there's your mini menorah, which is really nice, and it's kosher because it's a straight line. The shumash is in the middle, and it's a great little gift you can wrap up for a Hanukkah gift with candles. You can get one of these packages of candles, and they can enjoy using that when they go to grandma's house or, you know, a relative's house, and they can all celebrate. Or if they go to the temple, they can bring their little menorah that they made with their candles and have a really good time at the temple celebration. So that's a really easy one to do. And that's how to make menorahs. Now, I have printed out a list of materials that you can find and where to buy them, and directions on how to make this menorah. And there's simple instructions, 11 steps, and then directions on how to make a mosaic menorah, and then some ideas and YouTube videos. I'm going to be on YouTube. You can find me. You can find other people making menorahs. There's a plethora of people who make these things, and they're a lot of fun. Wendy, who introduced me, had found one that you can make out of a piece of branch from a tree and glue things like that on them. Some of these materials are a little hard to find, but you can find them. So you can make all kinds of menorahs using simple, easy to find parts, or you can find things that are not so simple to find and still have a creative, fun time to make menorahs. I would suggest that you make it a craft day on Hanukkah, where everyone in your family who wants to make a menorah can make one in a sitting in about an hour. You can all have a different menorah, be really fun, and then you can use them for the night, burning candles in them. Well, thank you for your time, and now I'm going to hand off the video to Wendy. Enjoy.